Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Z PhD podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Z, and you may be very familiar with me from my Dr. Z PhD YouTube channel. And if you're not, I highly recommend checking it out because I am pretty sure I covered everything and anything there is to cover for gender dysphoria for adults. So, welcome. Welcome to the podcast where we pretty much discuss anything and everything gender related, and especially talking about our inner development, working on confidence, assertiveness, ownership. I am recording this on a beautiful sunny Sunday. It's few days, well, more than a few days before Thanksgiving. This podcast is actually going to come out on Thursday on Thanksgiving, now that I think about it. So if you're listening to this exactly on Thanksgiving Day, I wish you all of the best. I know that for a lot of trans adults, holidays are very stressful because of the family ruptures that occurred when you stepped into owning who you are. And it can be incredibly challenging time period. So if you are alone on Thanksgiving, I'm glad you're joining me. I'm alone on Thanksgiving too. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So I'm glad to be here in good company with all of you. Today, I want to talk about branding. And I'm not talking about business, company, marketing branding. I'm talking about the way so many trans adults I see tend to brand themselves. And what I mean by brand themselves is to carry this enormously heavy feeling, as if your trans identity, your trans sense of self is a burden, as if you being trans is analogous to wearing a scarlet letter for everybody to see and for everybody to part away the minute you enter the room. And I know that not everybody feels this way. Not everybody feels that their sense of self is a feeling of being marked. A lot of people feel comfortable and confident in their gender identity. And then at the same time, I see so many who struggle. Now, let me be clear. We're not talking here about suddenly stepping into advocacy, although you can if that's something you're interested in. And we're not talking about suddenly waving transgender flag and be trans and proud and vocalize and constantly be open and come out to people all of the time. And if that's something that you want to do, that's phenomenal. But let's acknowledge that it's not for everyone. So we're not talking about necessarily having a need to do that, but we are talking about a level of acceptance, a level of acknowledgement of who you are versus pushing it away and really resisting this part of yourself. Now, remember, There's this famous saying, whatever you resist persists. And those of you, my dear listeners, who've been struggling with gender dysphoria and still struggle with it, are right now probably nodding your head in agreement because you know firsthand how resisting just continue to make it persist versus making it go away. And it really breaks my heart when I see so many individuals feel as if they're wearing this big scarlet letter, except instead of A for adultery, it is T for trans. And this feeling as if you're branded, I've seen how that feeling messes with your head. I've seen firsthand how that feeling closes all of potential opportunities instead of opening them up. I've seen people give up on dating and even giving a chance to dating because they have felt that the scarlet T letter on their chest is going to make a relationship completely impossible. I've seen people not even try forming new friendships, forget dating, friendships, because they were afraid that nobody's going to want to be friends with them once they find out they're trans. And as I'm recording this on Sunday and knowing that this will be released on Thanksgiving Day, I'm realizing that there are going to be some listeners who have had your family members push you away because of who you are. And I know that what I say is difficult to hear because you may feel that you have this proof that being trans equals people will not want to be around me. But I really want to challenge it. Because this is what I've seen. And remember now, I have had 18 years of direct experience working with so many trans adults of different adult age groups, different circumstances. I worked with people who are in relationship. I worked with people who are not. People who are been struggling with dysphoria for decades and people who just come to realize they have dysphoria. And one of the things I witness again and again and again is that once you just allow yourself to believe, you allow yourself to hope that there are people out there who will care and love and will want to be with you. Once you just allow that possibility to enter your mind, you start taking chances you would never have taken before if you kept telling yourself you're branded. Oh God, I hate the word branded. Makes me think of a livestock. Makes me think of those poor cows that get branded. Because you're not a livestock. And yet I know that so many feel that you've been marked somehow. And the minute you allow yourself to believe that there is something better for you out there, and there is, I promise you, there is. All it takes, I guarantee you, all it takes is for you to meet one person, just one person, that sees you as the wonderful person that you are, that sees you trans identity is the way they see their gender identity and nothing more, nothing less. For you to start then trusting that there's more to you than the mark you believe you carry. I've seen this so many times in dating. I have clients who feel wearing this scarlet T letter is going to prevent them from finding their soulmate. If there's such thing exists, I'm a strong believer we have multiple soulmates. We can have multiple loves in this lifetime. I don't know where this idea of one person only concept comes from, but I'm going to call BS on this one, guys. I'm just going to call BS because that's all there is to it. So I've seen lots of clients who, once they start trusting, and maybe the first time they put themselves out there, it doesn't work out. And second time, it doesn't work out. And third time, it doesn't work out until they do meet a person who really likes and loves them for who they are. For a switch to finally go on where you now realize that, my God, there are people out there who are not concerned or worried about me being trans the way you think they are. And you know what? Believe it or not, there are more people out there than you actually think there are. And I don't know why we allow ourselves to carry this feeling of being marked. And it's amazing how so many trans people don't feel that way. And I think those who don't feel that way are probably have cultivated a sense of self-worth and a sense of self-value that I think for a lot of people is really, really hard to cultivate when you've been struggling with dysphoria for a long period of time. And when you live in a world that at least some corners of the world, some traces of politics, gosh, the goddamn politics, dictate your right to exist. So on this day, I really challenge all of you who feel that you are branded, who feel that you've been marked, to really start challenging your own ways that you see yourself, because you're not a livestock and you're not in any shape or form lesser than anybody else. Trust me. Just trust me on this one. You're not. You're really not. So let's start challenging these notions within ourselves, because let me tell you, it is one hell of a difficult way to live a life. Feeling that you have been marked in such a way and having such negative associations to it. Oops, sorry about that. I guess that's a good reminder when I do podcasts to turn off other applications on my computer. Well, what do you know? You live and you learn. And that's all you can do. So I really hope you start challenging it. And I really hope you start believing, because trust me again when I say all it takes is one person, one experience, for you to start shifting how you see things, for you to start shifting how you experience yourself. If you're listening to this podcast on my YouTube channel, comment below, share. Do you feel also branded? That must be a really, really heavy burden to carry. And such a necessary one, in my opinion. If you're listening to this podcast on other devices, through maybe Apple or Spotify or Amazon or Google Play, and if you're enjoying this podcast, please do rate it. And I would love for, if you haven't made connection, come connect with me on Instagram, drzphd.com, so we can stay in touch. Otherwise, I wish all of you who are listening, especially on Thanksgiving 2023, a wonderful, wonderful day. And I am incredibly grateful to be in some virtual airwaves company with all of you. And I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.